Okay.
Oh,
Oh, well, he just introduces the entire thing.
it was Marvin. He just undeafened. Marvin, what are
Yeah.
your words of wisdom?
The words of wisdom is that we might as well begin now.
Hey,
Hey.
Wait, Kenny was asking. Kenny was asking about the process.
The process.
Yeah, like what we're gonna do.
Well, considering that I kind of really transitioned to the actual podcast screen, this is the part where I guess this could be the part where we introduce ourselves a little bit. And what
All
better
right.
way to do it right now is to say hello and welcome whoever is gonna watch here live or like when the VOD goes up. My name is 9C Salt, and you can also just call me 9 or 9 Salt. Let me just make this easy for y'all by taking off my fake username thing. There we go. And the rest of y'all can introduce yourselves now too.
I gotta open up the stream real fast. I forgot.
Oh,
hey. So, uh, I go by Kenny. I use my real name because my username is hard for me to remember, like to be called. So, yeah, there are gonna be a lot of chimp motifs coming from me. Just know that as a heads up. I am black, so it's not racist.
yeah, we're off to a good
Just to get that
start.
out of the way. You know,
This is a
just
good start. I like it.
monkeys make me laugh, and I like to call people monkeys. So there.
There we go.
All right. What's up, cancel culture, Kenny? You know they call me a Dak Ralter, Jedi Knight, taking on the whole empire myself. You know what I'm saying? Just, but aside from all that, my name I go by my real name as well, Hakeem. You can call me, also known as Cancelled Keem 2019. What's up? I uh, I also am a fan of the chimp motifs that Kenny has enlightened me to. They're quite hilarious, and there'll be more of that in the future.
This is definitely gonna be more of that in the future. You can basically call us the Bonobo Naughty. That's our little in-joke
Hey, the
name.
Bonobo
Yes.
Naughty, you bringing me back.
That could be the alternate name of this podcast, the Bonobo Naughty Podcast, starring Trouble Monkey 9, Arch Chimp Kenny, and
Grinch.
the Grand Chimp Hakeem.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
But in all seriousness, welcome to the Untitled Goon Podcast. This is episode 0, titled "Wing Spreading the Start." I should have really put the name there, but we'll try again another day. This is the pilot episode,
Yeah,
and
it's
this
all good.
on
Test
all
this stuff.
this, yeah. So all this podcast is really about is just me trying to follow through with a certain dream of mine, which is to do a podcast because I
Okay.
think podcasts are pretty cool. They can be pretty fun, but they also can be pretty chill. And I just want to do. I guess that's what I want to do. Just talk.
Uh, I think your
Whether
mic is cutting out.
is it cutting now?
Yeah.
Is
Oh,
it?
let me fix the sensitivity. Wow, good starts. Good starts.
Hey, we gotta
Hey,
get
you
this out
already
the way
know.
now.
The humble,
This is a
humble
good start.
beginnings.
Hmm.
The very humble beginnings.
Oh,
Anyways, yeah, this is just me living out a dream to do a podcast where I just talk, whether by myself or with my friends, mostly with like others who want to pull up, and we just talk about almost anything, really. Like a lot of it will just be about internet culture, just like culture in real life as it stands.
cancel
Uh,
culture.
can cancel culture, pop culture, anything. And we'll just probably like clown on it a little bit because of like little things we notice that like are funny or don't make sense. We also probably will talk about like music, games, or anything that might be like of interest for like
Especially movies.
especially movies, especially what's gonna come up pretty soon for us as people who like Star Wars.
Such a great time and a bad time to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, but that'll be a conversation for like another time. Maybe next week, or well, I shouldn't say next week, but maybe in like episode one.
Hey,
That'll be appropriate, huh? Uh,
I'm dead.
let's
First
do it.
episode.
first
Let's get
episode.
canceled, baby. Let's
Hey, let's get canceled.
go.
But nah,
Dwayne
yeah.
Johnson is in it.
But yeah,
Can't wait.
this is us. This is gonna be a thing. This is gonna be my thing. This is gonna be our thing, and it's gonna be great. Um, and part of the reason I want to do it, well, I can't really explain my inspiration because I like it. You know, it seemed fun. Uh, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't really watch podcasts like that. I probably should if I'm doing this stuff, but for what I've seen, which is mostly clips, because sometimes you don't feel like putting in an hour, so you just look up clips and like, ah, okay, Joe Rogan podcast. I'll just watch this specific clip of this specific guy talk about something, and it'll be fun. Or like whatever else you wanna use an example as your favorite podcast. I'm not saying Joe Rogan's mine, but I just use him because it was from the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this would be any difficult. You know, we just pick a topic. We actually probably if you wanted to stay longer, pick a few topics. You know,
Mm,
spend a set amount of time on each topic, and then move it along.
Yeah,
It'll be crispy.
it'd be pretty damn crispy.
yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, so yes, but for this particular episode, probably won't be like the longest, which is fine because I just want to get the introductions out the way before we do anything like of actual content. So that's where the
Bet
inspiration
that.
comes from. And now we're here. We're doing this here and now. And that, well, that's about it. That's my reasoning, and I just hope this keeps on going, becomes something like fun.
All
I
right.
mean, yeah, this is I really wanted to join this the moment I heard of it because I think everybody here and many people that we may have have on as guests, you know, that can show up, you know, can either entertain or inform. I'll say.
Or
I
both.
won't say yeah or
Both.
both.
Yeah, our
So a lot of it.
specific. You
I
could.
mean, unless we say verbatim, a lot of it will just be us messing around, like giving our like just first time opinions or whatever. Because I mean,
Yeah.
not many.
Um.
I mean, we do like to analyze a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we like to keep it light. You know, keep it all jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
that's.
BS from time to time, but we're not complete chips. We do our research as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We will get serious from time to time. So if you're one to only have opinions and not think of any facts, I don't know if you'll
Yeah.
survive very long within the chimp dome.
Yeah. I
It's a
mean.
dangerous
Concentration
place.
expand.
Yeah, and
Dangerous place for
that's
certain
something I
men.
kind of want to get out the way here. You know, this podcast ultimately isn't really about like the super, like we're on a mission to spread a message. We're on a mission to like do
Yeah,
something
fuck
big,
cancel
man.
culture.
We're on a mission to just prove everyone wrong, and really it's just
Right.
us like just letting out our thoughts and what we think of it. I mean, some of us, especially when we feel strong about certain topics, it could be any topic. We might like,
That happens pretty often.
which is I often. So I kind of really contradicted myself there, but
Nah,
uh,
nah, you speaking straight facts from where I sit.
but yeah, you know, we might end up being like passionate about things, but ultimately we want to keep this lighthearted. We don't want to make it about like us versus you or you versus them. It's just us like doing our thing. So, uh, yeah.
Well said. All right, so
Anywho,
what we
uh,
got first?
what we got first? Well, not that we made it past all that. I just got. we already mentioned it about internet culture, and I guess for like specifically for internet culture, I just want to bring up about like, let's say, let's talk about cancel culture, bro.
And then,
Cancel culture. We
Nah,
started off with some heat, huh?
you sent up
no
some,
Alright.
vegetables, no appetizer.
no
No.
appetizer,
We
or
jumping straight
nothing.
into the main course, alright.
We're going straight to the main
That's what
course,
I'm
but
saying.
nah. But before we actually do that, I kind of want to start off easy and talk about like things that we're anticipating for like this season.
Anticipating? Well, I first of all want to say that I'm a huge fan of that meme that you posted that about Epstein not killing himself. Huge fan.
Yes, those memes have been pretty powerful, and I feel like we really started off pretty strong. So if you don't hear from me, I blame Twitter.
Wait, are you able to pull? Are you able to pull it up on the podcast?
I can.
Wait, it might
We
be
got to show the
banned.
people.
Wait, hold on, but it is a girl shaking her ass cheek, so I can't, I
Twitch is
can't.
more than that.
No, I can't risk that. We're not lenity. We don't have that kind of power over
You
like
can't just
people like
name drop
this.
people.
You know.
Name dropping out day one.
Day one. We got to start strong.
Hey, no opinions will be barred here.
Exactly. We're a free establishment,
No
and
censor, no filter.
I guess that's like another thing I would like to make clear. We're a lot of us are just gonna be honest and be blunt and drop names. Not
We
because
raw
we're.
dogging these facts.
It's not that it's not like we're Twitter fingers. It's just that when we gotta point out an example, we gotta point out an example.
Speaking of alinity, though, like she could actually kill a man on stream, and people wouldn't ask questions. They would just be like, "It's out of our control."
That's out of our control.
Yeah,
She's definitely not giving us something special out of stream.
I can only go off of what you guys saying because I've never seen her stream. Not
Me
to say
neither.
that she's like a bad streamer or anything. I just have never made
she's
the effort.
not. She's not a bad streamer at all.
She's not.
She's a pretty good streamer, but I will say that
She has power.
she's taken some liberties over the years. Some that might have been heavily
Liberty?
punished. Where she's somebody else.
Shout to that cat. I wonder how it's doing. I wonder if that man's chilling.
Oh, stop.
living the best life.
Now I know who she is. Y'all need to chill.
She trusts that cat. I hope she paid him off with some of that good expensive shit. I forgot the name of the brand.
That was an unfortunate time for her.
Shit, I need to ask Caleb. He has a cat. He knows that
Wait, which
expensive
one are
shit.
you thinking about, Kenny? Are you thinking about the one where the person's brother walked in and like handed a Capri Sun? Is that what you're thinking?
No!
Oh no!
Children who are listening, do not look up the reference.
Please don't. This isn't that ain't a good idea at all.
Should there be an 18 or older marker on the Goon podcast?
I mean,
There is, but
yeah, I have that up.
you
Like,
already know.
All right.
Will we stop when we're under 18?
Probably not. Nah. Yeah,
yeah,
according to Facebook, I'm like 70.
not like that. Those warnings don't stop no one. If you can just press OK and just move on,
Mhm.
no questions asked.
Date of birth? Let's go for 1901.
That's good.
Wait,
1901.
1901. How does old ass man get past this security? Shouldn't he be dead? That's me.
Actually, like, what's the new captcha? Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. Hey, you see someone's
Anytime you
fucking.
go over that age, you're like, okay, boomer. Before you log in, go
Yeah.
Wait. Every time you log off, for some reason, some text to speech voice comes on, be like, okay, boomer.
Mhm.
Wow.
How did that catch on so quickly? I honestly didn't expect
So
it to
essentially,
take so much ground so
so
fast.
many actual baby boomers who know how to use the internet essentially just all got offended at once.
Really, I find that
So
very hard to believe.
I mean,
Honestly, like I feel like they would be the least offended about internet
no, but the thing is, like,
stuff
they're
like that.
offended of that term just because it basically belittles what they're saying.
Oh, because it's a derogatory, like semi-derogatory term.
They're using it as such.
Mm,
So like
I can
when
understand that.
like usually, but I think millennials are like justified with using it just because like a lot of times if you try to tell a boomer something, they're like, man, this kid don't know. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
I don't
like,
know nothing. Okay, boomer.
yeah, I kind of saw it as like that whole rebellious, like, get off my back. This is a new generation type thing.
Yeah.
We're the new wave.
We're a new age leading to a new era. Either step up
Kylo
to the
Ren,
future or get left behind, old man.
Kylo Ren looking ass.
It's actually interesting though that uh that it was looked at as being so offensive. Because if I was a if actually no, I'm not really. Well, seeing as how they're so much older and more experienced, that's the part where I take it and I say, are you really offended about that? Like what some kid says on the internet?
Yes.
I mean, apparently
Yes.
so. Shoot, I saw, remember on Twitter, I saw someone shot someone tweeting talk about how boomer should be considered like the N word
Oh
Yikes!
for
Yeah,
yeah,
I did
older
see that.
people.
Yeah, I
And
saw
I'm
that
not
too.
saying like, bro, shut up.
That is way too much. Like you need to
Like,
stop.
bro, shut
and I was
up,
like, bro,
bro.
I was just like, you know what's funny about that? He
Hmm.
can't say one of those words. Hmm.
Exactly. It can
Exactly.
never equate. There's there's actual generations and
People out here saying boomer without any kind of consequence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Before the meme.
I honestly didn't see. Well, yeah, the whole boomer thing. The meme was when the
I'm
meme
trying
came out. Honestly, I thought it was just like some super small section of Facebook that had this specific set of comedy, and I was like, oh, they're just lashing out at the boomers. And then it caught ground, and I'm like, wow, this is like in the whole movement now.
You're doing good,
Gain more
internet.
traction than Black Lives Matter. God
Yeah,
dang.
apparently.
Oh shit, I forgot all about Black Lives Matter. Shit.
We all do. We all do.
That's
Everybody
not
does.
good. See, that's the worst part about being human. Sooner or later, shit just falls off, and sometimes it's not even the right shit that should be falling off.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, oof.
Up until like someone fucks up, and then we had to start all over again.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just the fact of like people don't. Well, the people that should be reaching don't take it seriously.
I know, and they turn it into a meme every time without fail.
So then,
There
like,
are a couple of those memes that are pretty funny, but the majority of them I don't really find that funny. They just seem more petty than funny.
what the Black Lives Matter? There's memes of that.
No, not the black. I was talking about the okay boomer stuff. It's like some of them they seem far more petty than they are actually funny to me. But
I've only seen
there's
petty
some of
ones.
them. Huh?
I've only seen the petty ones.
Oh. I've seen a couple. Hold on, there's one. Let me see if I can find it. It's probably buried. I think I screenshotted it.
Okay, boomer.
All right, boomer.
Oh, it was. That's like the first. You type in "okay" in Google, and that's the first thing that comes up is "okay, boomer."
Shit, that shit is wild.
Okay, boomer. You gotta love it, man.
Oh, you gotta love it.
To be honest, it's small things like that that makes me feel like maybe we do live in a simulator and God didn't want us to know. Can you
You know what's
imagine?
funny?
Hmm.
It's such a trap of a meme too. Like, cause like even if a baby boomer doesn't care, right? Even if they don't care, the fact that they react to it, like,
It just completely invalidates whatever.
right,
Whatever
like,
point you have.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it was this one. Oh man, hold on. Here, you wanna? Here, I'm gonna post it in the chat so you can. But should we have a? Is there a closed streaming text chat that we can use?
Oh, fuck,
So I post stuff that's like relevant to the stream,
that's a good question. I don't think we do. I'll make
or
one.
a goon. We can have a goon podcast text
Hold
chat.
on, I got you. I'm gonna make it.
Bet. I'm gonna post it in there.
Should I make this a private channel? I guess we could make it a private channel.
I'm pretty sure there's like an article of someone like I don't know if she was talking to like she was talking to some politicians.
Ooh, Kathleen Kennedy.
No, hold on. It's like a 25-year-old lawmaker shuts down heckler during during speech by saying "Okay, boomer."
Okay, I made
Oh,
it.
oh, you made it. Let me see. All
Yeah,
right, where is it?
I
Oh,
guess
the
I'm.
Goon Podcast. There we go.
Yeah, hold
Ah,
on.
this junk had me dead.
That means I should probably try to make a. Hold on. Hold on. I need to do a window. Yeah, window capture should work.
Lindo capture.
Hit them with the
Oh yeah,
okay.
and also be ready for everybody listening. Be ready for an extreme amount of Japanese accented
Oh my god.
phrases, and a disgusting amount.
I would like to reiterate, we are not racist.
Fuck. Hold on.
We love the people, man.
Indeed,
Yeah, we love.
we're just really we're fans of the culture, and it's
Also,
stuff that we've grown
honestly,
up with.
honestly, I don't even think it's like a Japanese like type accent. I think it's like more Yakuza like. You know what I mean?
Yakuza like
Yeah.
a little
Or
bit,
it's
yeah.
like
It's like
rough.
Hold
harsher,
on.
Yeah.
like harsher, yeah.
Hold on.
Like an old man, and like
Right.
an angry old man.
Well, if that's oh yeah, that's true. But oh man, niggas would hate it when I do it. I be type ruthless about it for no real reason. I can't tell if anyone can see it. They probably can't. Not this moment.
This is why we got that episode 0. We gotta work out the kinks.
Yeah, we gotta work out the kinks.
Big window capture. Big window capture.
What the heck did I do?
Drink my coffee up. Boy,
You got coffee in the middle of the night?
yeah,
I be doing that too, to be
Whew.
honest.
Y'all are risky, man.
you gotta do it to me.
Whew.
Do what you gotta do. Yeah.
I don't know how y'all do it. I would be up for like 3 days straight.
You're extra sensitive to it. I drink coffee and then go right to sleep. That drink is actually kind of wild.
Oh. Wait,
Uh,
you got work tomorrow early,
I think this is the best I got.
Me?
Kenny?
No,
Oh,
I'm
you're
good.
not working tomorrow?
I'm not working tomorrow.
Oh, why are you drinking coffee? You're just trying to stay up tonight?
Yeah,
Oh, I feel it. I feel it.
because all I'm doing tomorrow is laundry. Feels bad, man.
Shoot, that would be
I
a move.
I
Responsibilities.
I got
Trash.
it. This is the best I can do.
Responsibility.
This should be good enough for niggas.
Hey,
Let me
Let me
see.
make this bigger.
Ah, there we go.
Let me
then that
make this
means you
bigger
This
for
can never
everyone.
ever like
called.
leave that.
This called.
You're nothing without the suit. If you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it. Okay, boomer.
Man,
Hire me for voice acting, please. I'm willing. I need money.
I'm dead. Oh,
I could play as fodder character number 5. I don't mind. I won't I don't
for
I ain't got no
water character
issues.
number 5.
I
Astro Jack. What's up, Jack?
Oh, what's up, Jack? Welcome to the podcast,
Big
bro.
Jack.
Okay,
Welcome.
boomer. The crisper.
Oh man. Don't
Indeed.
worry, boys. In episode 1, we'll have a stream chat too.
Speaking of Jack, I still got to shout out Jack for being one of the greatest werewolf players on the planet. Shout out, Big
Uh,
Time
Jack.
Salem. Oh man, he must have gotten you.
Hmm? Now we're on the same team. He pulled up the clutch plays late game. Big Jack.
Dude, I wish. I'm booty at that game. I don't feel me,
You just be getting bad luck, honestly.
bro. You might be right about that. When you've been giving away the mafia and the neutral roles the entire game, that guy must be mafia. So, but a guy, wait,
Now
So
hold
you
these
on a
niggas got the
Koseki
second.
brain
skills, where they
and
at
some
though?
chips.
No, all Hakeem had to say was that guy might be what might be mafia.
That guy
A
just
little seed
might
of
be
doubt.
Moth, but what if I present you with this alternate idea?
Mm.
Literally, no, it's not
I
even
feel
that.
like, I
It's
feel like
like it's
people
just like,
should
all right,
invent.
I'm off, or am I? It's like, that's a no doubt.
That's reasonable, though.
Is out here standing like, whoa, hey,
Put them
you
up.
believe?
If you guys don't know what we're talking about in the chat right now, we're talking about a game, Town and Salem.
Most
Well,
toxic
it's like
children's
based on the
game,
game Mafia.
most
You see,
toxic children's game in the world.
you see, yeah, it's
If
a
you can even
game.
call it a children's game.
It's not really a children's game if you're gonna be lynching someone. Oh wait, I shouldn't use that word. That might not be the best way to describe it, but we are
Cancel.
hanging
No,
people
that's
on
exactly
a
what it
winch.
is. Big Lynch.
But yeah,
Lynchitize me, Captain.
I feel like at some point we should invent like the inverse of galaxy brain called like microverse brain.
The amoeba brain,
Microbrain.
baby.
You said
Single
gamete
celled
brain?
organism.
Did you
The
say
single
gamete
cell.
brain?
uh, amoeba brain.
What
Get
is
that.
it? What is it? Mitochondria? Nah. Prokaryote brain?
Endoplasmic reticulum.
Oh wait, ow! Oh my god, I hurt myself.
Prokaryote brain plays.
Mhm. Single celled organism, baby.
The secret to immortality is by being a single cell organism, don't you know? That way
No.
we can maximize the power of the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
Mhm.
Oh man.
I'm reading a
Mm.
thing, an article on the New York Times. Hold on, let me actually
Ah,
pull
the
up
New
this
York
article.
Times.
It says, "Okay, Boomer marks the end of friendly generational relations."
No, it doesn't.
Mm.
The stream started refreshing. Oh no.
Let me
Oh,
see what
okay.
this
I think we're
says.
good now.
Hold
We're
on,
good.
I kind of want to see what this says. Or you want to pull it up on the stream?
You know, yeah.
I
Post it in
posted.
the Goon Podcast, man.
Let's take a look at this real quick.
Oh, I've
First thing
seen
I see
that.
is the jerseys.
The jersey.
Okay, Boomer marks the end of friendly
Have a
generational
terrible day. That's
relations.
actually toxic. That's incredibly.
Now it's war. Gen Z has finally snapped over climate change and financial inequality.
The face one I can't read anymore because they require me to subscribe. These hoes.
Oh, oh yeah.
Just you know you don't
No,
have to do
This
that,
is
right?
your Oh, I see it
Oh
now.
wait,
This
are
is
you
your
an incognito? Is that why?
no.
No. It's because they
Uh,
want you to log in so they can make money.
mm,
Well, I turned off my
I'm not
ad
logged
thing.
in.
In a viral audio clip on TikTok,
But
a
I'm about to
white-haired
go to
man in a baseball
man.
cap
Hold
and
on.
polo shirt declares the millennials and Generation Z have the Peter Pan syndrome. They don't ever want to grow up.
The Peter Pan.
Wait, let me see the
Syndrome?
pens. Let me see it.
Bro, we can't afford to have the Peter Pan
I'm
syndrome.
not wearing those Peter Pan tights though. So
We're-
um,
I don't want to be like Peter Pan though.
Peter Pan kind of soft.
Let's see. Jack says I like how boomers are calling boomer a slur considering they invented most of the actual slurs. You're right, Jack. They don't like the fact that we decided to turn the tables on them. They're not ready for our tech. Keep that in mind, Jack. Don't let these boomers stop you from living your best life.
They're making it seem like it's a huge movement, when really it's just like a
It,
finite number of children.
yeah, we're just saying it because we're annoyed with you. That's all it really is, I think. It's
Oof.
gonna it's
Yeah,
pretty
I just
funny.
watched the TikTok clip. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
they
There's
have the
some.
link to it. They have the
Yeah,
link to it in the
yeah,
thing.
it's in the article. If you click on it, yeah.
Oh yeah, it is there. Hold on.
The millennials and Generation Z have the Peter Pan syndrome. They don't ever want to grow up. They think that the utopian ideals that they have in their youth are somehow going to translate into adulthood, and that somehow they're going to
Big
create this
facts, Jack.
utopian society
Exactly.
in which everything is
This is
equal,
interesting.
in which the
Wait,
government
hold
takes
on.
care of everything.
It's
Well,
joint
guess what?
loud.
One of these days, just like the baby boomer generation, the generation before us, the baby busters who came after us,
The
you're
baby
going to mature and you're
busters.
going to realize nothing's free, that things aren't equal, and that your utopian society you created in your mind in your youth simply is not sustainable. It's just a reality. You can't escape it, you can't fight it. Hell, even the hippies came to realize their society was not sustainable.
Okay, boomer.
So just realize what you're creating in your mind isn't sustainable. The
Well,
millennials and Generation Z have the
I'll be honest with this old man right here. The whatever utopia they got going on at the time ain't sustainable either. So we're all in the same boat.
I feel like there's some truth to like some of the things that he's saying, like especially about the thing that people are like, "Oh, everything should be free." However, yeah, I don't agree with that. That everything should be free. Some things, obviously, you
Well,
have
my
to
thing
work
is
for a
just like
lot of
I don't
things that you.
understand what he's trying to say about this utopian society type of thing, or what
I
these
think it's
people
to
talk
talk
I
about.
about
think he's
how
talking about.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I think it's to talk about how he feels like a lot of our generation and the younger ones have like this idealistic way of how the world should work, and he thinks that we're just being like overly idealistic and not being
Well,
grounded in
my,
reality of how things should be and how to really
well, I think it's just like I think
yeah.
that that's a good thing personally, just that the fact that they're idealistic. Because if you're chasing the idealism, you can get at least close to what you're trying to go for. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be possible, but at the same time, getting close is still good enough,
Yeah, so
and
that
that should be the temporary goal, even so, even still. But at the same time, like who this nigga wants to get on TikTok filled with kids. I wasn't expecting nothing to happen. I'm sorry. He
does
deserves
he does
everything
he
he's
not have
getting.
grandkids to
I'm
warn
done.
him of this? Does he not have kids in general to warn him of the dangers of talking shit on the internet?
No, but I feel like he
Should
was
be.
talking about the whole movements that are going on right now about the especially with the whole gender equality thing
Yeah.
that's going on right now. I think he's probably talking a lot about that.
Like what specifically? Like closing the gender wage gap and shit
I
like that.
mean, not that, but in general, like with all these different movements that are going on, like the
Oh,
yeah, like the alphabet.
oh, the say LGBTQ, bro. The
Nah, I gotta say
plus.
the alphabet because there is more now, so I gotta
I
I
know
literally
that's why I said plus because like
oh plus.
LGBTQ plus. Did you say
yeah,
that?
yeah, I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure that's like a good
What are
way
we
to
talking about the word again?
Yeah,
no,
Oh,
that's
plus.
probably like along the lines of what he's addressing in that part,
What?
talking about the specifics of wanting everything to be equal.
Um. Again, I think it's more of like they're chasing the idealism of trying to be equal, even though knowing that it's probably not going to be fully equal, they're going to go as far as they can to get as good as they possibly can. Is
Yeah,
how I think of it.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong. Yeah, honestly, like you were saying earlier, chasing that idealism, there's nothing wrong with trying to bring about the change that you want to see.
Because I mean, like, if we're being real, some of the greatest things, just in general, like in general concept, niggas were chasing shit while niggas were telling them that shit ain't impossible. We've tried for years.
Exactly.
they ain't tried hard
Electricity,
enough.
electricity. There's no way you can give power. You can give light to people who don't have candles. That's just not. That's not a thing you can do. All right.
I,
I
I,
bet. Say less.
and so Edison helped perfect the light bulb and spread it across all America, and then eventually spread all across the world.
But real talk though, I hate Edison because Tesla was like, "Yo, let's make this free for everybody." Edison's like, "Oh no, they gotta pay
I
that
mean, shit. I
money."
mean,
Hey, you gotta make the money back somehow.
yeah.
CMG Ren?
Besides,
Salutations, everybody.
oh,
Welcome to the
Ah,
oh,
podcast.
shit. Welcome to the
Renjamin.
podcast. He's one of many people that could become a guest on this podcast. Our boy
Hey, y'all.
Ren.
Y'all already know who the hell it is. It is I. What's my name again? Yo, give me my card. What's my name? Oh,
You
yeah.
either use your real name or a
Renjamin.
name that you prefer to be called.
Yeah, hold
I was
on.
just like, no, I actually forgot to say my name. Well, forgot my. Don't ask. But anyway, yes, it is I. I've been called my real name so many times. I've actually forgotten my tag for a second.
Would you like to be called Ren or your real name?
I would like to be called Mr. Rin Jammin.
Renjamin? All right, we got you.
All right, his name
Mr.
is
Renjamin, welcome up.
Mr.
Welcome to our
Benjamin.
new viewers in the chat.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Shout
This,
out.
this
Yes, yes.
Renjamin 9, Kenny, and Keen. We all here. We
Yes.
chimping together.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I
So what's
guess.
the sitch?
Oh, nothing. We were just we already did the introduction of the podcast. What's it about? Why we're doing this? We were just talk about the OK Boomer thing. We're at the
Okay,
50-minute
so
mark actually, so we're doing pretty good.
let's talk about the OK Boomer thing. OK Boomer thing
What are
is
your
so
thoughts
funny.
about it?
It
Renjamin.
is so funny because old ass. No, okay, let me not say that. People of the baby boomer generation have so much shit to talk about us as millennials, Generation Z, and Gen X, Gen Y, or whatever. And I mean, like a lot of their a lot of the discourse is somewhat like warranted because Gen Z are just a bunch of mindless zombies running around, smoking weed, drinking lean, and like vaping and whatnot. And so
Wait,
like
so
a lot of their gripes are justified because they're a lot of them are crackheads, like a lot of them. But lest we forget the crackhead epidemic that happened within the 80s. The fact that despite the fact they always complain about us being on our devices, those same devices that they have in fact created themselves, and also the fact that our economy is big fucked because of the fact that they decided to buy a house with
Yeah.
$5 down in the restaurant credit. It's crazy. I was sitting here like we're idiots. I think the fact that they said that all we do is mooch off of them and freeload, which is exactly the same thing they did. Because if you really think about it, not a lot of all the big accomplishments in history, world history, or like America. Well, I'm gonna dumb it down to American history because this is where the big ass OK Boomer thing is happening at in the first
Hell
place.
yeah.
And like big thing is the fact that like a lot of the people of the baby boomer generation haven't accomplished anything because it wasn't a lot of like it wasn't a lot of the merits that or a lot of the big things that we learn about in history weren't accomplished by the baby boomer generation. It was accomplished by the previous generation. The name of the generation has escaped my mind. But hold on, I got Google in front of me. What is the generation that preceded the boomer generation? They'd probably be mad at me. Talking about
Gen
some
Gen
A?
A?
it was the silent generation.
Yes, the generation where
Sat on the
where
money.
if you think about it, a lot of
Be
our
quiet.
Don't say that. Don't say that about them. Mess around. One of them posts like this shit. What's really good, nigga? What's really good?
Oh, the last.
That's the big fact.
achievements in life.
They actually sat on the money from the previous from
Right,
the slave
that's what I'm saying.
years.
They've been. When you really think about
Yeah.
it, the baby boomer generation is just an older version of our generation. They've been coasting off the gifts of the silent generation. The people who abolished the slavery, the people who basically outlawed segregation, aren't the boomers. The boomers were just born into that generation. Granted, they do have what they do have on us is the fact that yes, in fact, they did whatchamacallit. They lived through when racism was at its utmost forefront prime. But at the same
Yeah.
time, they didn't do anything about it. They weren't. Not a lot of them were
But that's,
marching or
I
able
can't
to
say
march.
that. I can't say
I
that
can't
because
say
we
that.
gotta think about it. We gotta think about it
Yeah, you can't
Martin
forget.
Luther King
No, I'm talking
was.
about. Well, I'm talking about. They didn't headline or they didn't spearhead the movement. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Okay,
I'm
that's
not saying
fair.
they didn't do a single thing because that's
They were
just being
young.
like them,
Yeah, they were
polarizing
young
and
whenever that happened. Yeah.
incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like whatchamacallit, they were 10 or 15 or like 5 even when like the big part of the movement happened. Granted, they lived it and they also had to brave through some of the pushback to segregation being outlawed, but they didn't spearhead the move.
Oh.
They didn't accomplish the monumental things that the actual generation that did something about these pressing issues, like the silent generation. They're just
That
like
is
us. They don't want to admit it.
well, I can say partly because like I can't discredit the work that was put in to create a lot of
Hmm.
opportunities that are here now and a lot of
Of
like
course.
infrastructures that have been set up that are here now. So I can't discredit that at all. Like niggas really did put work in. I can't say that they didn't. But the only problem that I have is it's not with boomers in general. It's the fact that there's a certain animosity about it that instead of going at it as a way of like, oh, let's uplift the younger generation, will attack the younger generation.
Right.
Right.
And then
Like, and
that's why I also don't really mess with the OK Boomer stuff like that because it's pretty much just the same thing but
retaliation.
pettier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just retaliation.
It kind of it's like we dumbed it down into 2 words, but like they'll sit down, they'll break down why we aren't shit and why the phone is like the root of all evils within our
Mhm.
generation
Hey,
and
to be
social
Won't get
media
on
is
fair,
the
their phone
devil,
telling us
which
about it.
is sort
My
of
my thing
kind
is
of
just
not
like
untrue.
no. My
Yeah,
my
it's like
my
people.
thing is with boomers, they always want to say, oh, we don't really want to accomplish anything, or oh, we're lazy or we're soft. But every time we try to do something meaningful, look who's there
Right.
at the forefront with the white pickets talking about some. Oh no, you can't do that. No, that's too much change. No, y'all trying to do stuff. Y'all can't do nothing.
Exactly.
Like, it's like, come on, man. Every
It's
time we
out
try
here
to do
working
something,
for
we too
slave
soft.
wages.
Every time we try to, every time we don't do nothing, we too soft. Every time we do something, we too progressive. I guess the
Too
word is.
broke.
Yeah, like it's
too broke. When you put it like that, it kind of feels bad, huh?
so yeah,
Like the barrier to entry is actually a trap.
like y'all
Like
gotta
you
keep.
actually end up going into debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And I think the central problem here is people just don't want to keep the same energy.
Yeah.
They don't want to
Okay.
keep the same energy.
Mm,
Okay. Let's take this time to look at chat.
yeah,
Again, next time for episode one, like episode 1-1, like the actual episode one, I'll have a stream chat up. But for now, I'm just gonna read out loud. You guys gonna have to trust me on
all
this.
right.
But first things first, Jack said it's okay if we don't use the hard ER for boomer, and I say no.
Boomer.
Oh, boomer,
Boomer.
Oh
boomer.
my gosh.
Hey, my boomer.
My boomer.
Listen, listen.
Boomer.
The boomers don't got a lot of life left in them to go around using like
Bro,
not the hard ER.
Bro,
I feel like this
I
is
bet
I
you
don't
honestly
know
money
why.
ridiculous.
they will use their final breath to slander us.
I don't know how this is so funny. It's like just imagining someone like with that. I don't know if you seen the meme with that kid is over his desk and he's like, I guess he's like looking at something real hard. He got veins in his head. Like, you boomer.
Yeah,
Like the hardy.
you,
You
you,
boomer.
you boomer.
My God, we didn't say boomer. So offensive.
Hey, my
Mark.
boomer. Hey, my boomer. Hey, you can't say that. That's our word. That's our word.
Yo, if they ever turn around and take it as like a term of endearment, that's gonna be the ultimate counter.
Yeah.
And then now Jack also says, were they saying okay silence back then? No, don't have the big brain power that we have to make memes back then. Only
Yeah.
propaganda.
The thing is, I just really feel like this whole OK Boomer thing is the most unnecessary thing in the world. It honestly
It's
feels like it came out of nowhere, out of complete pettiness, and
Yeah,
serves
like
little to no purpose. Like, there's so many
my thing
other
is just
things to
like
be fighting about. Why are we doing this?
like my
It
thing is just
feels
like people
useless.
try to make memes of them and it's just they're not even funny considering I think they're originally supposed to be political because that's the only people it'll affect, right?
Mm.
Like a politician dudes and older people who like have positions or platforms that that like matter or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you can't just like if you go up to a random 30-year-old, okay, boomer, that dude's gonna be like, okay, nigga, like and then walk away from you. It's like, what's that dude's problem? Like it has zero to no effect on like the average like actual baby boomer. But anybody who it triggers, like it's like the most destructive force in the world, like freaking Final Flash type stuff.
Yeah. The way I
But
see it, the people that are offended by this and the people that actually put this stuff out here are the same types of people that go online just to argue with people because
Mm,
they're like they just want to argue about shit. Honestly,
right.
that's what I feel like.
And anyone who's willing to make it to actually have like a legitimate argument through like Twitter DMs or something like that, or like just through typing, is automatically you're just putting yourself through needless stress. Because at the end of the day, like regardless of how right you are, they're just gonna hit you with the all right fuck nigga and then leave, or try to offend you and then leave, thinking that they've won. So
Well, it
you never truly
depends.
know that.
I guess it depends on the. I guess it depends on the topic because, like, if you're actually trying to gain some meaningful insight into some situation, because I've done that before. Like, I've hit up people on Twitter that have disagreed with me about something, and I try to like see what their point of view is on it and talk to them about it in an actual constructive way.
Mm.
But what I'm talking about is the type that just want to say shit to trigger people
Like the boomer,
and
the
then
okay boomer.
continue. Yeah, like that's exactly what that is.
Uh-huh.
That's just trying to trigger people online. It feels like I feel like it comes from. Well, I said this before, but it comes from the whole rebellious part where it's just like, oh, we've been getting shit on for so many years by
I
boomers,
mean,
and
I
then people
think
lashing out. But really, that's just childish.
I,
And it's
I
kind of
understand. I understand what you mean, and I agree partially. But at the same time, I do think that like, like after like the pettiness, if you see the underlying reasons as to why they do it, like it's like a all right, can we have an opinion now type of thing? Like you know, I'm like okay, boomer, like
exactly
we
yeah,
always have to listen to you. We all never want to hear our side, or I never want to hear our perspective or anything because you assume because we haven't lived on Earth as many years as you, we're not as intuitive, or we
mm,
haven't gone
yeah,
through anything.
yeah,
So I will say it's a double sided sword, but like I do agree with Kane that it's more like petty than it should be. They're not using it in a way that like actually could like create conversation.
mm,
It's because a lot of the like, you have to understand that a lot of people like. I mean, personally, I haven't had much of an issue with this because I have really good parents and I have really good adult role models in my life. But from what
mm-hmm,
I'm seeing from a lot of kids, is that a lot of people have a really lot of very close-minded negative influences in their life. And they every time they try to
mm-hmm,
explain something about themselves or explain to their parents that, hey, what you call it, here's this new thing, or maybe be more accepting or something, people get extreme, like they get really defensive. A lot of people from that generation also that we tend to not look at too is a lot of them are extremely like a very close-minded and are very not open to, like, how do I say, what they deem deviant lifestyles. I'm gonna get the
yeah,
elephant out of the room, like what you call it. I don't care. Like a lot of people, like nowadays, one thing that I like about our generation, despite the general decrease in displayed IQ and whatnot, is that we do our best to not be racist. We do our best not to be racist, not to be like homophobic or transphobic, or like just
Right.
unaccepting of different lifestyles. And
mm,
while there are some stellar examples of in the older or in the baby boomer generation, it's not a very commonplace thing. A lot of them are very misanthropic, very misogynistic, and especially when it comes to things such as topics on abortion or what you call it, gay rights, trans rights. And I like, and
My
the
thing is,
really big thing I never understood about that is the fact that I explained it to somebody one day, and like I explained it to somebody of that generation that day. I said, when you really think about it, it's not any of our business. It is not any of our business if somebody wants to be gay, if somebody wants to get an abortion
right.
after they've been raped, because like a lot of times they propose. and especially when, I think it was in Ohio, they proposed a bill that will allow a woman to get an abortion if she was raped, and they shot the bill down. I'm just sitting here like, she doesn't want to be stuck with a baby that's a constant that she not only can't provide for, but is a constant reminder of her prior abuse.
Traumatic, yeah.
Yeah, it's traumatic.
I just
And
don't understand. Like, I remember
yeah,
it was actually at MomoCon. I don't know if Hakeem
hmm
remembers this. This dude was trying to
Mhm.
like I was just posing questions, and he was literally sitting there trying to justify by using his own situation as
Cool.
a. It was that one dude that randomly came to talk to you, and then like tried to get into it with me.
He came to talk to me.
Yeah, it was at MomoCon, like the last day, like we were about to leave, and
Oh,
like
him.
yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
so I
Yeah.
was hey, we didn't see you, but
What's up, Dude Ranch?
yeah,
What's up, Durant?
but what's it
Wait,
called?
wait, Dude Ranch? What's your real life name?
I'm dead, but
Yeah.
you can't ask people that. It's the
yeah,
internet.
Well, I mean,
but
like,
I
but
didn't even
I
reveal
guess
my name.
maybe
It's
I
in
would
the
have seen him. I
podcast.
don't know. Maybe I
I'm
would
dead.
have seen him.
As I was saying, I was just posing questions as to like as to why people would want abortion. He's just like, oh no, but at the same time, there's foster homes, foster care. I'm like, I mean, like you don't understand how trash that can be for a kid. Like I'm just like, foster care is not the perfect end all be all situation. They don't always end up in great families. A lot of them actually end up in poo families and go into the system multiple times before finding the right one. That's just a common thing that happens. And
Yeah.
so a lot of
Mm.
women don't even want to put their kid through that, considering that's actually super traumatic, and that's where like a lot of like and like deep seated problems can come from a person's mind. You know, they can be in all kinds of nonsense. So I'm just like, you're literally like essentially telling a woman, oh, it doesn't matter what your other options are. You're forced to be you're forced to what's it call it have this baby and choose its destiny for it regardless of how trash it is, and then when it comes to back to you for making that choice, it's all your fault anyways for leaving your legs open. That's how they see it. Actually, that's they just people just leave their legs open. They're not getting raped, they're not getting like coerced into doing it. They're like, it's basically like a, oh yes, this is a yes or no chance, and I'm saying yes every time. Like, it's not as simple or black and white as that a lot of
Oh
the time. That's what I
yeah,
saw.
I remember you now, dude. Ranch. Yeah, he was from a stream when I was like used to stream like Rivals
Oh,
or Ether
okay.
plenty of times.
What's
He's
good,
a
dude?
cool dude.
What's good, Dude Ranch?
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
nah,
man.
yeah.
It's
maybe
The
next time
whole
you'll be able to catch them on MobileCon.
for me,
yeah.
the argument about, well, this is gonna get a little bit dicey,
Mm.
but for me, the argument about abortion, unless there's a man and a woman that have a family unit, then there's absolutely no reason for there to be any other opinion other than the woman carrying the baby.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me, honestly. It doesn't make sense for anybody to think that, like, oh, this is what you can and cannot do with your body, unless of course you're in a family unit and you've agreed to that. Like, say for example, like, I ended up getting this girl pregnant and I didn't. This would never happen, by the way, because of who I am. But say I ended up getting this girl pregnant, right? And it was just like a one-off fling,
Mm.
and then she decides because we're not like in an actual, like, I haven't made a commitment to be in a family unit with her. It's completely her decision whether or not, I have no say in what she does to that body, if she aborts the baby, if she does anything. And it's not, it's, I can talk about it. I can like be like, hey, if you don't want to raise them, I'll raise them. I could do that. But when it comes down to it, unless there's a certain bond and a level of commitment, then there any other opinion on it doesn't matter.
Hmm. I agree.
And it
I
shouldn't
don't
even
like.
be a discussion, really.
Yeah, I mean, but they see it as like some. I don't know. Like they're just like, oh, after 2 weeks, it's a complete and utter like real human being. I'm just like, no, no. Like I'm just like, it's not a, like because like I just like the same people who like it's like not everything is free are the same thing as like have this baby for free. You'll be able to get it. Don't worry. Just
There
get
you
like
go.
3,000 jobs. You'll be able to hoop. It's like, no, bro, it's not that simple. Like people don't have that, and a lot of people don't have it in them, and then they end up mistreating the baby, whether it be on purpose or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like I just think that if that option should be out there for people who just don't have the resources to deal with.
It definitely should, because there's no point bringing in
Oops.
a child that you can't take care of.
Now, the ones that like I
You're
will
doing
say
harm.
there's
You're doing
separate
way more
situations
harm
for
than good.
everyone. Yeah, I will say there's separate situations for everyone. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that like no baby ever deserves to be born regardless, but I'm just saying like the option
Yeah.
Wait, what?
like no, because like I'm telling you,
There's
bro,
a
that
lot of
dude at
people do say
Mobile
that
was
when you talk
wilding,
about
bro.
abortion.
Exactly, like that dude, he was wild. He was saying as if like I don't believe any baby outside of wedlock should be born or some joke. I was like, bro, no, like you have to listen to what I'm saying. Like, it's just like I think that the option should be there for the people who cannot deal with it.
For sure.
For the people who can deal with that, they that like the sentence itself is self-explanatory. They can deal with that. But
Mhm.
yeah, the option should be free for everyone to choose. But hey, it's Georgia, so the South believes in the Bible.
Well, the
We
Oh
South.
my
passed the
god.
law.
And
South
that's
thinks
another thing
When
different.
too.
it no no no
Like,
no no when it's convenient.
Huh?
no,
When it's
exactly. I'm
convenient.
over it. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Like, just like in terms of like boomers, like the boomers that are the absolute worst are the ones from the Bible Belt that are within the Bible Belt. They are. If you are watching this, if you are perchance watching this, I want to let you know that y'all are the most insufferable morons I will probably ever
God.
meet. Like,
Yeah,
You're, you're
absolutely
not making this
yeah.
any
I'm not.
disgusting.
better,
I'm
but
not. I'm not a big
speak
fan
your
of Bible
shit,
Thumper.
I
Yeah.
guess. I'm just saying
I mean,
I mean, like,
you're not
can
making it better,
I
but
have
speak
not
your shit by
I
all
have
means.
yet to meet a more like how do I explain it? A more like stiff and
Mm.
like actual like narrow-minded group of people. It
Now
is
I
impossible.
have a question. Do you think it's all right to group everybody into that group of people and call them
I
a certain?
think. I'm a firm believer in an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind, and whatnot. And you know what? It comes to a point where some people have to start retaliating. But like a lot of people have been hearing the same shit or have been trying to like basically talk to people about an ideology that is not only like does not harm people, but
Mm.
like also is trying you're trying when I'm talking about ideology that doesn't be like harm people. I'm talking about educating people about the nuances of things and talking to people about being more accepting and opening your mind to like maybe allowing things like abortion and other things, not in like egregious quantities, but like in a way to like how do I say accommodate people who have had the unfortunate situations such as that, and they aren't being heard,
right.
or they're getting told that nobody like I've been on this earth for X amount of years. That automatically means that I deserve like to be treated like royalty. And I believe that everybody deserves to be treated as royalty and everybody deserves to be treated right. But I don't think
Mhm.
that the number of years that you have lived does not entitle you to respect just because you're older than
Uh,
me. You
I
can't say
mean,
anything out of
I
me.
feel like if
I,
you're
I
gonna
don't
I
think
will say
be,
you
I will
can.
say this. I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I do believe what you're saying is correct. But at the same time, though, like with older people, I do tend to treat them like with a tad bit more respect. Because they're older.
Oh yeah, without
I
a doubt.
understand how they're. Not to say that I understand how their mind works. I'm not trying to like set them off or anything. Like yes, ma'am, no, ma'am,
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. But if it turns into a volatile situation, I will drop that junk real quick. Like
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like without a like, I'm not
all right,
gonna
man.
pull up on. Don't make no mistake. I will not pull up on like senior citizens and pop off because like
Oh
that's
no,
not
no,
that's crazy. But
no,
like
no.
at the same
People do
time,
that
if
though. That's
you
crazy.
come at me with disrespect, I don't care how old you are, you will be spoken to
With
as a person
disrespect.
who has been
yeah.
disrespectful,
Okay,
regardless
fine.
of your like age,
I will.
regardless.
Yeah, yeah.
Period.
I will
Mm.
say this. Um, the Bible Belt people,
Bible Belt.
the
Jack
Bible the
Jack is
Bible Belt
hilarious
people.
with the
I
derogatory
will
term.
say this. They like it differentiates sometimes because there are some that are more uh understanding than others. But at the same time, though, there are some situations where they're forced to be in, which like which give them which can understandably make them a little ruffled. For example, like the same sex marriage. Not saying that I don't believe in that or anything like that, but like I don't think a Christian priest should have to do that considering it's technically sacrilegious to the religion. So it's just like they need to find a different way of doing that in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've yeah. You know, religion is such a
But
complicated
at the same
mess
time,
to me. You
it
know.
depends because like everybody translate you'll find the same three churches the same I guess what's the word dominion or whatever
Yeah.
like it's like the same three Baptist church and they all believe in all kinds of different stuff. So it really is just like it's a roll of the dice, but it's not a roll of a good
Mm-hmm.
dice though. As you're saying, like a lot of them do be like on that. We're not respecting anybody but Christians. We like to preach to the choir type stuff. So you know, which is
Man.
kind of like the opposite of Christianity, considering technically they should be going to places where Christianity isn't to bring Christianity there. But you know, whatever. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Oh God! I mean, if we
I
talk
agree.
about religion, we gotta remember how complicated it is because we got all these different branches tell us like different ways of the same story with their own
Yeah,
interpretations. So
I can't
which
believe they all
makes it
praise.
hard for me to really get
Technically, they
into
all
like
praise the same God. They're just fighting over
Yeah,
who's
I
the
agree with
Messiah.
Marvin. It's really that. That's more than we have enough to unwrap today.
yeah, no, I was gonna say that I think we
Right.
passed that. We're at like an hour 13, so
Over on an hour and 13. Damn, that was quick.
yeah, that was quick, man.
I still
Hey,
could go. I still got the boxing gloves on.
yeah, no, and I still got my referee clothes on, bro. But anyways, hey, episode 0, off to a strong start. Let's see if we can do that next time when I got something ready for the rest
Oh,
of
we're
us.
calling it.
Hey,
Of course.
So
All right.
so let me just.
it's been a crispy one.
It's been a crispy one, a super crispy one.
It's
So
it's
transition,
been
stream
crispy
ending.
fresh.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, anyone who's
Have a
new,
good one, man.
yeah, for anyone who's new, hit that follow button. Do the exclamation Discord if you want a Discord or whatever. We'll catch you guys next time when we got in episode 1.
It's been crispy.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Be
Tuning
easy.
Yes,
in.
appreciate it.